Attention passionate Pittsburgh Steelers fans. Latest news, something big is happening in the AFC North and it could change the game. We're talking about a direct impact on Pittsburgh Steelers' path to another Super Bowl run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Pittsburgh Steelers fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with your friends and Pittsburgh Steelers fans. Let's get to the news. Now folks, if you've been following the Steelers for a while, you know that this offseason has been anything but boring. Pittsburgh's front office has been busy making moves, trying to shape a roster that can finally get them back into serious playoff contention, maybe even a deep run in the postseason. But as always with the Steelers, despite some aggressive moves, questions remain. And today we're going to dive deep into one of the most talked about topics around the team right now, the wide receiver position, and more specifically, the search for that elusive second weapon alongside their star quarterback, Kenny Pickett, and the potential impact of a veteran like Odell Beckham Jr. joining the mix. The Steelers, as you all know, have a proud history of establishing a physical, disciplined team that emphasizes defense and a solid ground game. But in today's NFL, you need playmakers on the outside, guys who can take the top off defenses, make contested catches, and be reliable targets for your quarterback when it counts most. Last season, Pittsburgh's passing attack was a bit of a mixed bag. Kenny Pickett showed flashes of brilliance. He's got a strong arm, good mobility, and a cool head, but he clearly needs more weapons to fully unlock his potential. The team recognized that, and during the offseason, they made some bold moves, including trading for DK Metcalf, one of the premier deep threats in the league, hoping to create a dynamic duo with George Pickens. That was the plan at least. But as fate would have it, things didn't quite go according to plan. Just weeks after the draft, the Steelers traded George Pickens to the Dallas Cowboys. Now, why would they do that? Well, reports suggest that there were some tensions behind the scenes, between Pickens and the coaching staff, or perhaps with other parts of the organization, and that led to the decision to part ways. It's never easy to lose a young, talented receiver like Pickens, especially when you're trying to build an offense that can keep up with the high-powered teams in the AFC. So suddenly, the Steelers are back at square one in terms of their wide receiver core. Yes, they still have DK Metcalf, a bona fide number one receiver, but beyond him, there are questions. Can they count on guys like Calvin Austin, Robert Woods, and the others to step up and be consistent threats? That's the big concern. And here's where things get even more interesting. With a significant window opening in 2024, mainly because of the upcoming season with Aaron Rodgers, who's now leading the Jets, and the Steelers trying to capitalize on that, time is of the essence. Pittsburgh has invested heavily in their defense and offensive line, but the passing game remains a bit of a question mark. They need someone who can come in and produce right away, someone with the experience, the skill, and the ability to be a true second option for Pickett. That's why many analysts, including CBS Sports' Cody Benjamin, have suggested that the Steelers should look into veteran receivers like Odell Beckham Jr. Now, Beckham, as we all know, has had a roller coaster career. He burst onto the scene with the Giants, making spectacular catches, setting records, and becoming one of the most electrifying receivers in the league. But injuries and inconsistency have hampered him over the last few seasons. Last year, he signed with the Miami Dolphins, but his impact was minimal, playing in just 9 games, catching only 9 passes, and battling injuries that kept him off the field more often than not. And at 33 years old, heading into this season, questions about his explosiveness, his ability to contribute consistently, are very much on everyone's minds. Yet despite all that, Beckham's name still resonates. He's a proven winner, he has a Super Bowl ring from his time with the Rams, and he's familiar with Aaron Rodgers, who reportedly tried to bring Beckham to Green Bay back in 2021. Rodgers has spoken openly about his admiration for Beckham and his interest in playing with him again. So the idea of Beckham returning to a team that could offer him a chance at redemption, at a fresh start, is tempting. Plus, given his history and the connection with Rodgers, perhaps a one-year deal makes sense for both parties. It's a low-risk, high-reward scenario if Beckham can stay healthy and recapture some of his old form. But let's be honest, the reality is, Beckham's production has taken a significant hit since his 0-yard season in 2019. Injuries, age, and the changing landscape of his career have all contributed to that decline. Last year's stint in Miami was underwhelming. He looked almost invisible at times, with minimal impact on the field. Sure, he still has the name recognition, but can that translate into meaningful production? That's the big question. The Steelers need more than just a sentimental signing. They need a player who can step in and be a real second option. A guy who can stretch the field or make those crucial third-down catches when it matters most. Think about it for a moment. If the Steelers bring Beckham in, they're not just adding a veteran presence. They're adding someone who's played at the highest level, who has playoff experience, and who can be a threat. But the big caveat is, can Beckham outrun, outjump, outcut, and outplay the younger, faster receivers that Pittsburgh already has? Players like Calvin Austin, who's shown flashes of brilliance, and Robert Woods, a savvy veteran, are hungry to prove they belong. The NFL already knows the answer to who has the edge in those situations. Speed, agility, and burst are what separate the good from the great. And Beckham, at this stage of his career, is more of a possession receiver, someone who wins contested catches and plays the role of a reliable target. But is that enough for what the Steelers need? That's the million-dollar question. And let's not forget the bigger picture. The AFC North is becoming more competitive year after year. The Bengals are still loaded with Joe Burrow and their talented receiving core. The Ravens have added more weapons to their offense, and the Browns are building a solid team around their quarterback, Deshaun Watson. The Steelers, in this context, need to punch above their weight. They need to maximize every opportunity to get into the playoffs and make some noise. Having a versatile, dependable receiver could be the difference between a good season and a great one. It's about timing, talent, and chemistry. And the Steelers are clearly exploring all options. Now, beyond Beckham, the team is also looking at other avenues, including potential draft picks and internal development. But veteran presence often makes a difference in high-pressure situations, especially when the season hinges on a few key plays. The idea of Beckham returning to the team that drafted him, or at least reuniting with a quarterback he's familiar with, adds a layer of romanticism to the story. But football is also about practicality. The Steelers need to evaluate whether Beckham still has enough in the tank to justify a roster spot, or if they should look elsewhere. All of this excitement, speculation, and analysis leads us to a simple truth. The Steelers are at a crossroads. They've made some bold moves, but the success of this upcoming season will largely depend on how well they fill that second receiver spot. It's a puzzle that has been challenging for Pittsburgh for years, finding that perfect blend of youth, experience, speed, and reliability. The coaching staff and front office are under pressure to make the right decision, and fans are eagerly awaiting any news that might point to Beckham or another veteran stepping into the fold. And now, Pittsburgh Steelers fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on all of this? Do you believe Beckham can still be a difference-maker for the Steelers? Or do you think they should focus on developing their young receivers and sticking with the guys they already have? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion matters so much to us and to the Steelers. Remember, this team is built on a passionate fan base that refuses to give up, no matter what the critics say or what the headlines scream. The 2024 season could be a turning point, and your voice is part of that journey. As we wrap up today's deep dive, I want to remind you that I'll be back soon with more updates, analysis, and insider news about the Steelers. Whether it's roster moves, game previews, or player profiles, I've got you covered. So make sure you stay tuned, subscribe if you haven't already, and keep that Steelers spirit alive. This team has a long history of overcoming obstacles, rewriting expectations, and fighting until the very end. And with your support, we'll continue to bring you the best coverage in the NFL. Thanks for watching, and as always, go Steelers. And now, Pittsburgh Steelers fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on this? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion matters so much to us and to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And don't forget, I'll be back soon with more updates, so stay tuned for the latest Pittsburgh Steelers news.